to do it here as well. Hello, everybody. I'm just pressing buttons. So if you're a bit confused about why I'm looking all over the place, that is why, because we're live across multiple platforms this evening. So we're live on Facebook, we're live on Instagram, we're live on YouTube. Say hello if you can see us and hear us. I'm not sure if it tells us that you can see us and hear us across all the platforms, but hey ho, it might just be you and me, Kirsteen. That's absolutely fine.
Okay.
So I'm really, really chuffed that tonight I'm joined by Kirsteen Chassels. For those of you who don't know, I've been doing a series of interviews with people who are like change makers in the Zen space. And I am not over egging the pudding when I say that Kirsteen is one of our team who changed our life forever when we started working with her 4 years ago. So Kirsteen is our family OT. I have zero hesitation in recommending her for any and all things occupational therapy, particularly sensory processing, understanding your sensory system, and all that right good meaty stuff. Kirsteen has supported Theo and me for the last 4 years. She was instrumental in getting us an EOTAS package for Theo. She has been instrumental in helping Theo get ready to go to university. And, you know, I think it's safe to say that I consider her a friend now, as well as someone who works with us in our team. So I'm dead chuffed she's here. Hello.
Hello. Oh, I'm all touched there.
I'm so pleased that you're here. So, regardless, I'm going to talk about how amazing Kirsteen is, and I could just do that all night. But I also want to tell you how she could be amazing for you as well, because I'm not selfish and I don't keep my people all to myself, especially when we don't need them as much anymore because they're so good at what they do. So we're going to have a little chat tonight about what Kirsteen does and how she might be able to help you and your family. She's got some freebies. I'm going to share with you how to get them, and just make sure that you know like all about everything that she has happening and how to find her. So let's do a little bit of like a rewind. Let you give yourself a little bit of an introduction, a background, tell people about who you are, what you do, where you are, all that jazz. And I'm going to share while you're doing that. So don't think I'm being rude.
Perfect. So I am absolutely delighted to be here, and it's always fun to speak to Heidi because, you just make me feel relaxed, especially
you never know what I'm going to say. That's why.
There is that part. However, so my name's Kirsteen, and I have been an occupational therapist for over 20 years now, because I am that old. And I've worked in so many different environments. So I've worked in local authority, I've worked in NHS, I've done private, which is where I currently am. So the reason that I set up my own practice was because I wanted to have the freedom to be able to do what I thought was right for the children and young people that I was working with. Mm-hmm. So my background and my drive to do that came from my own family, as it does with so many other people. Finding that my own family had differences, finding that I too had differences. Funny that it should come from me. And that was what drove me, because I couldn't get them the help that they needed when they needed it. So I decided that once I found out the stuff, I was going to let other people know and share that knowledge. And that's what I do.
Amazing. So you're based up there in that there lovely Scotland.
I certainly am.
And the work that you do is you support predominantly children and young people, I think. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I do work through the lifespan. It's generally children and young people, all the way from the very little tots all the way up to young people that are in university, young people that are working, just to help them get on with their next steps. Because each stage brings its new challenges, doesn't it? And the new systems that then we need to set up so we can cope and survive.
Absolutely. Okay. So as I've mentioned, Kirsteen is our family OT. If you've seen any of our stuff online, we've got a few interviews with Kirsteen. Kirsteen's done sessions for us on things like parental burnout. She crops up from time to time in things that I send out. And, you know, like I say, she's excellent at what she does. And you're kind of one of the things that we had spoken about before, and I know that you're moving towards this now, is that historically you've worked one-to-one in person. Over lockdown, you worked online, which was kind of how we came to work with you, because we're in Yorkshire and you're up in Scotland. But you found I think this is fair, tell me if I'm incorrect, but you couldn't work with everyone you wanted to work with because people couldn't get to you. And also some of the stuff was like, kind of like, I could deliver this in a group way. I could give people access to this. So just recently, you've been doing more and more kind of group work and webinars and that kind of stuff, right?
Certainly have. So you're absolutely right. One-to-one is amazing. And you can get some amazing results working one-to-one. But it reaches one person. And it turns out I only have so much time in my life. And I wanted to be able to reach more people, because what ends up happening is I end up to have waiting lists. I don't want people sitting on a waiting list. I want people getting the help that they need. So groups are the way to do that. And online allows people to sit in the living room, just as you are right now.
In their pajamas, like I am right now.
PJs.
I've not been dressed today. I've not had a bra on for 48 hours. I'm not sorry.
Thank you. I'm always glad when you share me these details. So we're looking at what we can do to help as many people as we can in an online way, trying still to keep that personal part there, still be me, and still be me thinking the way that I do think, and helping people to reach their next steps to understand themselves a bit better.
Yeah. And there's a bit of a parallel between the way that you're working and the way that I work, in that your child is your techno whiz, right? My child is my techno whiz. Yeah. So we both like have our children doing the bits that we're too old lady to do, which I think is incredible. It's the best thing. But you've got a young person in your life who helps you with some of the behind the scenes stuff, right?
Absolutely. Who very quickly this morning told me to get out the way because I can do it quicker. That's okay. Feel free.
Yeah, brilliant. Amazing. So tell me what people can get from you at the moment, and where they can get it, and why you're doing that, I guess. Okay. What exciting things have you got happening right now?
Yeah, so I have been doing a series of monthly webinars. The first one, let me think what they were. So I had centre integration and processing. This was just really to give people a little bit of an introduction. It's all free. You can sign up. They're now on the website. You can pay to download them, but we have a little secret about that. So centre integration and processing, modulation, interoception, and we have got 2 more to put up. So one about advocacy and reasonable adjustments, and another one we just did this morning, executive functioning and strategies.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff
that makes a massive difference to our children and young people.
Huge.
Kirsteen mentioned you can buy them on her website, but if you sign up for her newsletter, she gives you them for free. That's right. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. You get a little, it's either a link or a code, and it comes out in the newsletter. And each Friday, we create a new words are not coming out. A new newsletter. That's quite tricky to say. And it's full of hints and tips. It's usually something that has happened during the week that I then talk about. And so it could be anything from visual processing to transitions at Christmas time. It really depends on what is coming up for the young people.
Yeah.
I also have an online group, which I kept that a secret from you, Heidi. Sorry.
Do you mean you forgot to tell me?
I did.
Yeah,
I did. Fine. But that's okay.
So where can people find that? Can people find that through the website?
They can find that on Facebook. It's called Free to Grow.
Free to Go.
Grow, GROW.
Oh, that makes more sense. Facebook group. Okay, I'm putting it in the comments.
What
kind of things get talked about in there? Like, who are you finding are coming to you? What's that looking like?
So I would say the majority are probably mums, but I do have some dads in there as well. And it's really, it's a place where people can ask an OT some questions. So there's myself, Alice, who's the OT that works with me. She's also in there. And we have got some specialist teacher who also happens to be a mum with a child with additional support needs. And she's a additional support needs teacher, as well as many other things.
So 3 for 1 in there.
Absolutely. So you can ask questions in there.
That's amazing.
And yes, we might not know the answer, but we can certainly go and ask. And what other people have found useful is maybe somebody doesn't want to say themselves. They want to remain anonymous, or they want to be a little less public because maybe it feels more tricky. So we've had stuff in there about some really sensitive subjects, and they've maybe put up either an anonymous thing or message me, and I will talk about the thing, whatever the thing is.
Yeah.
So we've got a bit coming up quite soon, all about transitions, because transitions at this time of year are becoming really tricky. There's lots of the young people that I'm working with who are really beginning to struggle now. So we'll start to talk about that. And the next webinar I'm doing, which is on the 10th of December, which you will be told about if you sign up for the newsletter, that's all about transitions as well.
So when you say transitions, what do you mean? For anyone who doesn't really understand what that language means.
So transitions, that's actually what the first thing is we're thinking about. What is a transition? So a transition can be any kind of shift from one thing to another. So it could be your attention shifting from being on that computer game to eating your dinner. So that's quite a massive one usually. But a transition also could be being able to get out the house. What do I need to have in place? How can I get through that front door because I actually need to go somewhere? So these can be the bigger transitions. Or it could be I need to move from one classroom into another classroom. That's a transition as well. So it's thinking about so that's some of the stuff that we'll do within there, is thinking about what is a transition and why is it sometimes a bit tricky? Thinking about that window of tolerance and what we're able to cope with within that. So there's lots to think about within
I think that's
that.
one of the big things that before I knew that I had a neurodivergent young person in my house and that I was a neurodivergent person, we struggled with lots of things that I just couldn't really put my finger on. And transitions was a big thing that once I understood it, I was like, okay, so basically anything that requires a shift in energy, a movement, a shift in focus or concentration, or a change to my environment or myself. That's really freaking difficult for me.
It can be.
And it can be anything as simple as, like before we started this today, I thought I could do with getting a glass of water, really. Didn't happen. I've really fancied a biscuit or something since about 3:30. And it's just, I've just not moved. I've been doing other things, but that's where, knowing that about yourself is really helpful, because there are things you can do to support yourself with making that smoother. Understanding that is the first step. And then obviously you as an OT know the practical, the strategies, the things you can try. And I know you've done a lot of that work with Theo. That's been a big part of the work you've supported him with, especially coming into, him going to university. I know that you and he had a 6-month focus on what all the things we need to get in place to make that transition as smooth as possible.
Yeah.
That was a biggie.
And, you can try and get all these things sorted out. And that means that there's other things that happen during the actual transition that come up, because things will always come up accidentally on purpose. You think, oh, I didn't even plan for that one. If you've got all the other stuff sorted, it means they become much smaller and more manageable. And then they become little blips as opposed to a huge issue. And then I need to come back home because I can't do this.
Yeah.
So, and as far as I'm aware, that hasn't happened.
It hasn't happened. He's never coming home. I've told him. I don't know why you're here with your suitcases. You don't live here anymore. No, he's, I mean, I won't lie. It's not been without its challenges, but I know the work that we did and the work that you did with him to get him ready for that you'd be so proud of him. Last week, he was like, I'm struggling with some bits. He's got other things in place at uni, and he was like, I've had a bit of a think about what Kirsteen would say, and I've ordered some whiteboards. So when I went to spend time with him the other day, he was like, come and have a look at my whiteboard. And he's got a whiteboard beside his door, and he's got a whiteboard in his bathroom with lists on. And in his bathroom, it's got prompts for the things, and he ticks them off. So when he's brushed his teeth, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, this is all, he's done this himself. Like, I didn't prompt him to do this at all. And I was like, oh, this is what like agency looks like, because he now has those self-advocacy skills and that understanding of himself, that he's like, I'm struggling a bit. What can I do? I'll get a whiteboard, and not that like getting a whiteboard is the answer. Like, you've got to know why and what you're going to use it for. But I know that you and he have been using whiteboards together for 4 years. And then he was like, I don't know why I didn't think about it, Mum. I've been using a whiteboard all this time with Kirsteen, and I turned up at uni and I haven't got a whiteboard, and now it's all gone to shit. Yeah. So he went and got himself a whiteboard, or 2 whiteboards. I was
amazing.
Like, I tell her, she'll be so pleased.
Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of him. Thinking that up. Oh my goodness.
So, but you wouldn't know these things, right? And also, like, I guess that thing with, when people have ADHD and say, have you made a list? It's like, have you got a whiteboard? But you've got to know how to use it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's no point just having a whiteboard.
Yeah. And we made it really exciting right at the start. That this was going to be his, hi Helen. This was going to be his place to really go for, and it was his station. And I think at one point it became a space station that we were going to have.
Wasn't it called? What was it called? It had a name for ages.
It did.
Mission Control. It was called
Mission Control. That was it. Yeah.
And there was like he'd painted a big red button on it, and it said, do not press. And like, it was all in, he had all like pictures, and, we weren't, and it was really handy, because I would say to him, oh yeah, blah, 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 we need to do this. And then I'd be like, do you think we should put it on the whiteboard? And he'd be like, yeah. And then he'd go and put it on the whiteboard. And, it was just inside our front door in our old house. And it was so handy. So, yeah. But it kind of, go on.
So I was just thinking, we did other things than whiteboards.
Yeah, I know you did. I know you did. I know you did. Like, but that was a very visible thing in my house.
It was.
I went past it several times a day. And towards the end, I was allowed a little corner of it, like for my lists. He was like, if you need to write it down, you can put it on my whiteboard. Oh, thanks, mate. I'll put it there and then I'll forget it. Mine is in my fridge. I stick things on my fridge. I
remember that being one of the very first discussions, and I was like, do you have a whiteboard in the house? And you said, yes, I've got one in the kitchen. I was like, is there any chance? You're like, but I use that. I need it for all of my stuff. And I'm like, you're amazing. You're already there.
I mean, really, I don't know why I've decorated my house. We should have just put whiteboard paper up all the way around, but
you can buy them. You can buy them.
I know you can.
Stick straight to the wall.
I know you can.
Take the paint off when you take them down again.
So aside from whiteboards, and all of that, what can people look forward to you having for them if they join your mailing list? When they join your mailing list, they'd be mad not to, because they're going to get all that free stuff. But what else have you got in the pipeline? What else are you working on?
So we have got more webinars coming out each month, but next year we are beginning our courses that we're going to put up. And the first one is how to create your own sensory profile and strategy. So we're going to do it as a group. And you're going to be able to then, I'm going to talk you through all the different things that we could think about, so that you can then begin to understand your own nervous system. You can understand what level it's at, what that might look like for you, whether it be up, down, in between, whatever that is. And then also what you can do about it if you're finding that you are in a level of a nervous system arousal that isn't quite matching what you want to do.
Yeah. So because people are under the misconception, aren't they, that a regulated nervous system is a calm nervous system, and that's not the case. It depends what it is you're trying to do.
Exactly. So if you're about to run a marathon, to have a really calm nervous system is probably not ideal. You probably need to be amped up a little bit. You need to be a bit heightened. That's not a great place to live in all the time, but it's amazing for if you need to be doing something. Equally, to have a really, really calm down, kind of lethargic and a bit slow, not ideal if you are about to go and do, an exam. Not ideal if you're a bit sleepy, but amazing if you need to get to sleep. Because that's exactly where you need to be in order to calm yourself down. So it's about thinking about what is it you need to be able to do What
Mm-hmm.
activities do you need to be able to do?
Mm-hmm.
And then just work from there. So yeah, it's a really lovely session. I've done this one face to face, and it was really nice because while we're doing it with the adults, what was really interesting when I was doing it is suddenly these adults, the parents and carers that were there, were having those light bulb moments of going, oh, that's why my child does this. And I'm like, yes, that's why they do that.
Yeah.
And so it was giving them real insight into
Mm-hmm.
their child,
Mm-hmm.
but by using their own self, because you can feel what it feels like for you. You can't feel what it feels like for your child, but you can feel it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can begin to go, oh, I get it. I actually understand that. I know exactly what that feels like for me.
And also understanding, I think there's real value, and I know this is something we've done with you, in understanding the different sensory profiles in your household and how they interact.
Yes.
And being able to be a bit kinder to yourself around that is why sometimes I just do not want my child anywhere near me. And I just get off me, don't touch me, get out of my house, and to give yourself permission to not feel like a terrible human being when you understand what's going on in your sensory system in response to other stimulus. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges in neurodivergent households is understanding everyone's sensory needs and making accommodations for it. But you can't begin to unpick that if you don't understand your own from the beginning.
Exactly. I often encourage whole families to do it. So if say I'm doing one of these with a young person on a one-to-one basis and we're building that up, I'll say to the mum or the dad or the caregiver, whoever it is with them, let's do yours at the same time. And it allows the young person to say, I'm not the only one. And these sensations are actually not bad. Turns out my mum does that too. And she can admit it. And so it opens up so many conversations and allows more freedom within the household.
It could be a really bonding and a really kind of a real moment of connection with your child or young person because I think sometimes our neurodivergent kids, we're kind of therapizing them and we're interventioning them. And when they see that other people in the home are being therapized and interventionized and they are able to kind of think about that themselves and they're not so other than, when, you say, when you have that understanding of that, I'm not just getting this just because I'm troublesome or difficult or I've got support needs. This is something that all humans benefit from knowing. And I know for us, when we were working with you one-on-one, and at one point we were seeing you every week, and quite often I would be on those calls to support Theo, but the conversations would be about us as a household and our interactions and the way that we were living together in the same space. So
it's very difficult to separate the child from the whole family unit because everything interacts with each other. There's no
you shouldn't really, right? It's not practical to be thinking about your child as a little, offshoot of society. They're living and breathing and existing in spaces with other human beings. And a lot of the time they're in your house, taking up space. You need to know how to make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a lovely way to understand yourself better, understand other people in the household better. It allows you to have a little bit more patience on those days where you think, oh my goodness, will you just do this differently? And then you begin to look at it differently and say, hold on a minute, they're doing as good as they can. And I'm doing as good as I can today. It's not great, but do you know what? Today we're doing this and tomorrow will be another day and we can look at it differently again.
100%.
So it brings that compassion in there, which is really important.
100%. Well, I'm super pleased that I get to put you in front of, I know I've put you in front of my people before, my people, make myself sound like Julius Caesar, but, I am genuinely delighted that you're working in group settings more because I know that so many people benefit from your expertise. And
absolutely,
whilst I have the opportunity to do this publicly, I just want to thank you for all that you've done for our family and for all that you've done for our community. I've told you privately before, but I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have changed our lives. And I'm so grateful for all that you've done. And I'm excited for other families whose lives you're going to change, you know, because
Yeah.
like, I know that that's what gets you. I know that that's what you do the work.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I love when you see people moving from one level to another. It is so exciting. And when they suddenly get that level of kind of control for themselves and they go, I can do this, and I can go and take the dog out for a walk. I can now go into that shop and go shopping. I can go on that bus. I might still not like it, but I'm doing it. And that means I can now go to this place or that place, and I can do so much more. Oh my goodness, there is nothing better.
Where we were when you first started working with us, you know, like I think the first few times, probably even more than that, we spoke, Theo didn't have the camera on, couldn't speak, was off camera, was speaking through me. You know, this kid got a train to London on his own and met me in London, like about 4 weeks ago. You know, like makes phone calls, is sat waiting for a doctor to call him to have a chat about something, which would never have happened before.
No, just amazing.
Just incredible. And so what we plan on doing is that Kirsteen is gradually going to make sure that every child and young person in the UK, and then I guess eventually Europe, has a whiteboard and knows how to use it.
I'm going to take out shares in the Whiteboard Society.
I think that you should have your own range of whiteboard, and not to play down like what Kirsteen does not just do whiteboard stuff. No, but I did think it was really cute that he was like, I think Kirsteen would have suggested that I use a whiteboard, so I got a whiteboard. So
we can do blackboards as well. We can do blue boards and purple boards, and
green boards, and whatever colour boards. So you will see me sharing Kirsteen's stuff going forward for sure. But please do go and sign up for Kirsteen's newsletter so you can get her free webinars. There's stuff in her brain that is worth its weight in gold. And I'm not going to bleat on anymore. Have we covered everything that we should have covered? Because I feel like I've just gabbled.
So. I think so. I think we have. No.
Oh, go on. What?
Oh, there's one more bit.
Okay, go on.
You know what? See, if you sign up for the newsletter before the 1st of December, there is the most exciting thing coming on, but I can't tell you what it is because you will only get it if you signed up before the 1st of December. So,
okay.
I'm excited. Okay. Sorry.
So that's what we need to do. Helen's saying that you changed her life too.
Oh, bless. Thank you, Helen.
So what we need to do is we need to make sure that you get yourselves on that newsletter list. There will be an unsubscribe button. So if you get emails and you're like, I don't like them, you'll be able to unsubscribe. We do consent-led advocacy in this space. So, and also like Kirsteen is a very ethical and kind of like all that. So she won't spam you. She won't sell you details. She just wants to be able to tell you what she's got going on. It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Go and get on the newsletter. Do it before the 1st of December. Don't go do it now. Otherwise, you'll forget if you're anything like me. activateot.org/newsletter. Go and get on that list, and then you'll start getting a weekly email, which is more than I manage because mine is like a weekly-ish email. That's what it's called on my to-do list. And it just lands when I get round to it. So, but I know that Kirsteen is much more organized than I am. Probably because she's got more whiteboards than I have.
I have a number of whiteboards in my office.
That's where I'm failing. Right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight, Kirsteen.
Amazing.
For people watching on the replay, if you have made it to the end, drop me a comment that says replay. It's good for the algorithm, and it's also a nice little buzz for me to be like, oh, people watch my stuff in the future. That's nice. And if you've got questions for Kirsteen, go and find her. Go and join her newsletter, get in the Facebook group, which is called Free to Grow. And watch this space for more stuff coming up. Thanks, Kirsteen. It's always nice to chat to you. And Theo will be gutted he didn't get to see you tonight. But we'll speak soon, I'm sure.
Catch up soon. We'll catch up soon. Thank you so much for having me. And working with your family is an absolute joy.
Of course. Okay, my loves. Enjoy your evening. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.